thing that bothers me as I make the rounds locally, regionally, and nationally is that many people still don't understand, it seems, what global terrorism is and what the nature of the threat is. They've seen some of the results of it. I think they've heard new names and new organizations, but they still don't really have a clear understanding of how widespread and pervasive this phenomenon is.
The United States government identifies 3 types of international terrorist threats that are out there. They also identify domestic terrorist threats that we have, and I want to point out that in this time of post-September 11th, I don't want us to forget that there are domestic terrorists, and I haven't mentioned this as a chemical attack, but you can all remember the anthrax attacks that followed September 11th, and the person or groups that committed those anthrax attacks in the mail system, they haven't been apprehended yet. There's a strong suspicion that they're homegrown terrorists and not international terrorists.
The question is Homeland Security versus police state is a question of balance. A long time ago, the question was raised by the Founding Fathers about giving up liberty in the name of security, and when you do that, you end up with neither. So we have to always be cognizant of reaching a balance under our free and open constitutional system.
The reality factor says that the intrusion, if you will, into my privacy, is it reasonable and justifiable based on what the outcome could be?
Although this might be very important for the law officials and the government policies to kind of emphasize on this homeland security, but I think as teachers and educators it's very important because what we teach in our classrooms is what is happening in the world around us. And as we see United States as a leader in the world, we have even more responsibility to kind of train our students and our young generation to uphold those values and ideals of democracy and show the world what the real democracy is.
It's troubling how First Amendment rights in particular are often just given lip service by the courts and the prosecutors and identified as something to be noted but overcome or disregarded or found an exception to.
I think that the prospect for our civil liberties in the short term and the medium term is therefore not good. I think that we have to be open about that the only justification for these sacrifices is our security, and that the last liberty we should give up is open debate. That each time they come to us and they say, you must give up this freedom, and you must give up this privacy, and you must give up this liberty, then we have to have them justify it. There should be a full and open debate, and that we should not call those who defend our civil liberties traitors or abettors of terror, as was done in the first few months after 9/11. Even if you disagree, if someone else is going to draw that line somewhere else, that person is still an American. That person is still a treasurer of civil liberties.
You're going to have some violations of civil liberties. It may not be done intentionally, but it does tend to happen. I think one of the things that we have to be careful about is to make sure that there's a very delicate balance between countering terrorism and maintaining civil liberties. So we have to make sure that we try to balance those two as much as possible.
When police, law enforcement detain somebody, whether it's on the nation's highways or whether it's taking somebody off of an airplane or detaining them in an airport, that's a seizure of the person. Government doesn't have the right to do that to us without some basis. Is racial profiling and suspicion of terrorism an adequate basis? U.S. Supreme Court would say no with respect to the Fourth Amendment.
People like Bob Barr of Georgia, Dick Armey of Texas, conservative columnist William Safire have come out in recent weeks saying, hey, we're bedrock conservative Republicans, but you know what? We're a little bit concerned about what's happening in this country. And so I would suggest to you, if you are a conservative, you should be a member of the ACLU and you should be very concerned about civil liberty.
That's a big perception in security, is if you make people feel safe, then things are going to go well. If people do not feel safe about their environment, then you're losing the battle.
And I think most of us realize that the mayors play a critical role in providing direction to everyday sense of order and security in all of our nation's cities. And mayors supported by their public safety officials, the police department and fire department, have consistently focused on the need of residents and visitors to feel safe.
Some respect, you have a need in our society today to be active, regardless of what party line you're part of. You don't have to do it even on a party line. It can be completely nonpartisan efforts, but you have to take the initiative to be active.